Good evening, everybody. You're watching Everything Weapons. We have a great show for you tonight. I'm very excited to be back here tonight on Monday. Big show. Today we are going to be discussing how over 32 years ago, America had one of the biggest military disasters in Somalia. However, it was also one of the most honorable and examples of devoted soldiers facing overwhelming odds. Operation Gothic Serpent, the Black Hawk Down incident, or the Battle of Mogadishu, was in 1993. A fierce 18-hour urban conflict on October 3rd to 4th in 1993 in Somalia, where U.S. forces, specifically Elite Delta Force and U.S. Rangers, who attempted to capture warlord aides, got bogged down by heavy Somali militia resistance after two Black Hawk helicopters were shot down, leading to significant casualties and forcing a U.S. withdrawal from Somalia. U.S. command underestimated the threat in Mogadishu due to overconfidence in their elite forces, inadequate intelligence, mission creep, lack of robust backup plans like sufficient quick reaction forces or UN coordination, and a failure to adequately protect vulnerable helicopters during the raid, believing the Somalis couldn't effectively counter them. However, with being a defeat, only 18 overwhelmingly white Americans were able to withstand and neutralize over 3,000 enemies. An exceptional example of only a few soldiers being able to take serious numbers against their enemy. And one of the best modern examples of white men in war, as overwhelmingly most of the troops were white. Now let's get right into what weapons the American soldiers used in the Battle of Mogadishu of 1993. Starting off with main primaries. M16A2. The M16A2 is a gas-operated 5.56mm assault rifle adopted by the U.S. military in the 1980s as an upgrade to the M16A1, featuring a heavier barrel, improved sights, and a 3-round burst fire mode instead of full auto to conserve ammo, becoming a reliable workhorse for soldiers and Marines. The Ranger M16S were ex-Guatemalan military M16A2S fitted with slings secured with green duct tape. Most of the M16A2s used did not have any attachments or camo paint jobs. Next up, CAR-15. The CAR-15 was a modified M16A2 or Colt Model 723. This barrel was cut to approximately 10 inches, and the front sight post was moved back to accommodate the modified handguards while retaining the traditional triangular M16A2 handguard cap. A Colt Model 723 carbine, transitional model between the M16A1 and M16A2, was also used as a CAR-15, with an A2 lower receiver forward assist, brass deflector, but a Canadian C7 style upper with an A1 fixed rear sight. Some CAR-15s were customized with one or a combination of attachments, including the M203 grenade launcher, suppressors, flashlights, lasers, and optics like the Aimpoint 3000 and 5000 optical sights, along with varying full camo paint jobs. Next up, M14. This rifle was a disaster in Vietnam due to worse characteristics and moist weather. However, by the 90s, the newer and improved M14 had a bigger magazine capacity, capability with attachments like better sights and improved barrels and stocks. Also, the M14 works very well in hot climates such as the Somali desert, unlike wet Vietnam. The modernized M14 is still used today in certain U.S. combat roles. Next, the M4 carbine, a smaller and compact version of the M16. The M4 carbine was also widely used by American forces in the Battle of Mogadishu. Its shorter barrel and collapsible stock made it more maneuverable in close-quarters combat, which was prevalent in the urban environment of Mogadishu. Okay, that brings us to support weapons. Next up, M60 machine gun. The M60 is a family of American general-purpose machine guns firing 7.62 by 51mm NATO cartridges from a disintegrating belt of M13 link containers of 100 or 200. There are several types of ammunition approved for use in the M60, including ball, tracer, and armor-piercing rounds. It was adopted in 1960. It has served with every branch of the U.S. military and still serves with the armed forces of other nations. Its manufacture and continued upgrade. In the Battle of Mogadishu, it was mounted on Humvees and wielded by soldiers like Matt Lagana of the 10th Mountain Division during the intense urban fighting. However, with new machine guns that are lighter and more reliable, the M60 is slowly being phased out. Next up, the M79 grenade launcher, commonly nicknamed the Thumper or Blooper. While the M79 was largely replaced by the M203 underbarrel grenade launcher by the 1990s, it remained in use in niche and special operations roles due to its greater accuracy and range compared to the M203. A notable example is Delta Force operator MSG Howard Hoban, nicknamed Hoot, who carried an M79 during the battle. Next up, American ground troops used the M136 AT-4, a variant of the Swedish 84mm man portable recoilless anti-tank weapon. The AT-4 was adopted by the U.S. Army in the early 1980s to replace the M72 Law and was intended to give infantry units a means to destroy or disable armored fighting vehicles and fortifications. Next up, the M249 Squad Automatic Weapon, or SAW for short. Crucial asset for suppressing Somali militia positions and supporting troops pinned down in urban combat. The SAW thrived in this environment, providing cover. The M249 SAW is still used by the U.S. military, particularly the Army and Special Operations Forces, but it is being phased out in favor of newer, lighter weapons like the M250 for the Army and M27A for the Marines. Next up, several grenades of varying types were used in the Battle of Mogadishu, such as the M67 fragmentation hand grenade, the M68 impact frag ANM-8HC white smoke, M18 colored smoke, ANM-14TH3 incendiary, and lastly, M84 stun grenade. Next up, heavy machine guns, such as the M2 Browning. This .50 caliber heavy machine gun, often referred to simply as a 50 caliber, was mounted on the Humvee turrets and provided significant anti-personnel and anti-material capabilities. And the M134 minigun. These six-barreled, electrically driven rotary machine guns were mounted as door guns on the MH-60 Blackhawk helicopters and pylon-mounted on the Little Bird helicopters, offering an extremely high rate of fire, up to 6,000 rounds per minute for engaging ground targets. Next up, let's talk sidearms. The Sig Sauer P226. The P226 set the standard by which all other combat handguns are measured. The P226 was designed for entry into the XM9 service pistol trials that were held by the U.S. Army in 1984 on behalf of the U.S. Armed Forces to find a replacement for the M1911A1 and 24 other makes of handgun in U.S. military service. Next up, the M1911A1, while it was phased out as the standard sidearm for the general U.S. military in favor of the 9mm M9 Beretta 92F in the mid-1980s, elite units like Delta Force often kept using them due to their effectiveness. Next up, the Italian Beretta M9, or Beretta 92 FS. This pistol was adopted by the U.S. military in 1985 and was carried by troops in Somalia. While rifles were primary, the M9 Beretta provided crucial firepower in tight urban environments, acting as a secondary or close-quarters option when long guns were cumbersome. Next up, the MP5K. Yes, some American troops, specifically U.S. helicopter pilots, were issued the MP5K, a compact variant of the MP5, as a personal defense weapon, or PDW, during the Battle of Mogadishu. It was not a standard issue weapon for the ground forces, like the Army Rangers or most Delta Force operators. The most notable use was by Chief Warrant Officer Michael Durant, the pilot of the downed Black Hawk helicopter Super 6-4. He used an MP5K to defend himself at the crash site after his helicopter was shot down, though he noted in his book that the weapon experienced frequent malfunctions during the intense firefight. The intense fighting in Mogadishu was extremely dusty, sandy, and battle debris were constantly kicked up, easily fouling weapon actions, especially smaller firearms like the MP5K. The sheer volume of fire and close-quarters nature of the fighting put immense stress on the weapon, leading to stoppages. Although in the 2001 movie, they incorrectly featured the MP5A3 on screen, which doesn't make sense because on the K variant, the stock can collapse and fold, making it easier for pilots in small space. Although not ever seen in the film, shotguns were likely present and used by some U.S. troops during the Battle of Mogadishu, especially for close-quarters situations. The Benelli M4 was part of the U.S. arsenal and effective for room clearing and breaching in urban combat like Mogadishu. And that wraps it up, guys. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. The 1993 Battle of Mogadishu in Somalia was a great example that defeat is still possible, even for a massive empire like America, if proper precautions are not taken seriously. So yeah, guys, even though it was an embarrassing withdrawal in terms of geopolitics and American interventionism, you have to understand the Black Hawk Down incident is still an impressive, recent, an exceptional example of a warrior's last stand against impossible numbers, showcasing the best fighting and marksmanship. Stay tuned for more videos, my dudes, and do not forget to subscribe right now. Turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Type us a comment down below and see you boys in the next one. Take care. Oh, I almost forgot. The movie is a must-watch.